10 keys to overcome rejection. Number 1, an objection is not rejection. An objection is simply that they may be interested, but there's something else that's conflicting in their decision. I'm not interested in selling my home right now because if I sell my home, I simply don't know where I would be moving to. I'm not interested in selling my home right now because I want to wait till the springtime. I don't want to work with you. I have a family member that I feel obligated to work with instead. An objection is something that can be overcome. It's not rejection. An objection is simply a path to a yes. By understanding what their objective is and having effective objection handlers to dig deep and get to the underlying frustration that is blocking their goal, you'll have a better chance of achieving the success that you're looking for. Remember, rejection is not about you. They're only reacting to their reality, not to yours. I think about this when somebody gets frustrated or angry with me when I'm talking to them either over the phone or face to face. And they say, I'm not interested, leave me alone, and they slam the door. They must have had an experience with a real estate agent in the past or a salesperson in the past, not with me, that they're responding to. See, they're responding to their reality, not to my reality. So I simply am able to brush it off and move on. It's also important to remember to be empathetic and not sympathetic. The difference between empathy and sympathy is very small, but maybe I can give you a couple examples to understand the difference. Sympathy is, I'm sorry for you. Like, oh, your home didn't sell? That's too bad. Versus empathy. Empathy is putting yourself in their situation. See, when somebody's frustrated, angry, or upset, they get frustrated or angry or upset with you because they want you to feel how they're feeling. Empathy validates that so they don't have to get angry, frustrated, or upset for you to acknowledge that feeling. By doing this, what we're saying is, I'm not in your current situation, but I've been in a similar situation and I can understand how you feel right now. That's empathy. So an example would be, I'm sorry that your home didn't sell. I've been in situations where I was hoping for something to happen and it didn't come through. And that makes me very frustrated also. See, you have to meet them where they are. You can't expect everybody to rise up to your emotional state. You have to step into their place, feel what they feel, and then bring them back to you. Remember with rejection, you are simply creating the opportunity. We're not in the business of trying to manipulate or push people into making decisions. If our offer is strong and we're talking to enough people, we will convert enough people to be able to provide for ourselves indefinitely. The key is to have a clear offering and have a clear opportunity. Ask enough people what you're offering, allow them to accept the opportunity, and if they choose not to, then simply move on. An example of this would be like meeting a for sale by owner that says, I'm not interested in working with a real estate agent. I've sold many homes myself in the past with no use of a real estate agent. I don't need your help. See, our job is simply to create the opportunity to list and sell with us. If they choose not to step into that opportunity, that's fine. We simply can move on and find somebody who is interested in the opportunity we're providing them. So we don't want rejection to shake us. Don't allow it to shake you up. It's not about you. It's about them. All you're doing is moving on, making the offer to as many people you come across as possible. Because success is a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more chances you have of meeting 1 or 2 or 3 that are interested in your services. The key is to talk to more people, build better relationships, deeper relationships, and over time, success will come to you. See, oftentimes when I'm talking to somebody and I feel like they are upset or frustrated with me, either as I'm out door knocking or I'm talking to them over the phone. An example of this would be, maybe I pick up the phone and somebody says, I can't talk right now, and they slam the phone down and hang up. Or I knock on the door and they peek out and they see me and they go, I'm not interested, and slam the door. If you've ever had a child, you remember the stage of the child when they were between a week old and maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks old. The baby's very small, and so small that you can't wash the baby in the bathtub. In fact, you're oftentimes washing the baby in the kitchen sink. And you just got that baby all soaped up, and the phone rings. And you answer the phone, and on the other end of the line is a solicitor saying, hi, the reason I'm calling is I'd like to sell you. And you say, don't call me back, and you hang up the phone. See, in those instances when people are short and angry and frustrated with me, I imagine that they are just tending to a soapy baby. And it would be very irresponsible of them to take that phone call with me or answer the door at that time, because that soapy baby would be at risk. Yet I often remind myself that I'll just kind of follow back around when maybe they're not dealing with a soapy baby. See, the key with overcoming rejection is to think outside of yourself. If we focus on ourselves and how we're feeling about the moment or what we think about the moment, if this is what we want to be doing at this time, we're not going to achieve the goals that we desire to set out. If we focus on things outside of ourselves, if we focus on the goal that we're trying to achieve, if we focus on the number of people we're trying to help, or maybe the people out there that need our help, and we're going to find those people, then we're going to have a much higher chance of achieving our success. So therefore we say, keep your emotions in check. Stay in the activities. Stay in the physiology movement of making the calls, following your scripts, moving through the process. Pay attention to what you're saying, how you're saying it, so your conversion gets better over time. And number 10, and this is the most important, is come from contribution. The key with coming from contribution is to remind yourself over and over and over again that you are there to help them. And I oftentimes remind myself in how many different ways I can help somebody. When I'm making calls or knocking on doors, I'm helping them before they get desperate and they get themselves in a bad situation. And at that point, they pick a weak agent, an agent that might be unethical or undertrained or undersupported, and therefore that agent actually may cause more damage than good. I'm going to help them keep more money because National Association of Realtors says that a real estate agent can typically sells a house for more money than a for sale by owner does on their own. And so I'm going to remind them of that and tell them, I'll help you net more money, because that's the most important part. It's not about the commission you're spending. It's about how much you're walking away with at the end of the transaction. I'm helping them avoid risk because the federal and state laws still comply with the seller, even if they're unaware of them. And so we protect them to ensure that during this real estate transaction, that they're abiding by the laws of the governance around them. By doing this, we help them prepare the legal contracts. I once had a seller who hired an attorney to review a contract. In the end of the transaction, the attorney charged him $7,000, and the transaction didn't even end up going through. See, we need to remind them that, yeah, you can hire an attorney to do the paperwork, but in the end, if the transaction doesn't go through, the attorney gets paid either way, and we as real estate agents will only get paid upon a successful sale. We help them find the accurate price. Today, it can be so confusing with the internet and Zillow and different research tools that are online to help a seller define the price. And that is our number one job, is helping them determine the correct value. We also help them prepare the home for sale. I often say, if you were to sell your car for top dollar, you would clean it or even detail it before you put it on the market, right? You wouldn't drive it down the road with your coffee in there and your shoes left over from the gym. You would get the car all cleaned up before you put it on the market. See, selling homes are no different. When we prepare a home for sale, we're going to make every effort to make sure it looks its best to ensure it sells for top dollar. And lastly, we're going to help them effectively market the home. I remind the seller that it's our job as a real estate agent to drive qualified home buyers to that property. And their job is to price and condition the property accurately, so when that qualified buyer shows up, they pull the trigger and they make the offer. And our marketing is designed specifically to attract qualified buyers that are ready, willing, and able to buy today. Come from contribution, keep your emotions in check, and you'll overcome rejection.